Can you smell blood in the water? Can you smell the blood in the water? Because I can. And I know Brian Kelly can as well. Right now, LSU have a chance to become the premier football program in the country, but not only just that. Obviously, it's hard to say that we can be that when Georgia's won 2 national titles in a row. And Alabama is still, Saban, all of that. Right? But we're making a huge step towards that, and this season would be a big step in that direction, depending on what goes down. There's a lot of hype towards LSU. There's a lot of love for the type of squad we have going into this season. But I smell blood in the water. I know Brian Kelly does as well, because here's the thing. Alabama are at a crisis across the board. A baseball coach who's gambling and basic cheating makes Pete Rose look like a kindergarten teacher. And you've got the basketball team having these connections to murderers. A member of the football team committed that murder. There's so many disastrous things going on in Alabama right now. You even had the year before Eli Ricks getting the DUI. You had Pete Golding getting a DUI. You had Jermaine Williams punching people in the face, punching a girl, hitting the phone out of the girl's hand when they lost to Tennessee. You have all this stuff happening at Alabama where, the athletic director is being absolutely berated. What are you doing? What's the plan here? Everyone you hire is turned into a shit show, right? Well, right now, you see the opposite at LSU, where our women are winning everything in sight in basketball. The premier women's college basketball team in America, reigning national champions. LSU football beating Alabama last year, winning the SEC West. LSU baseball was number 1 for most of this season, still within, hovering right in that top 5 area, still all to play for this season. But really, with LSU football, you got Brian Kelly almost trolling Nick Saban. I love beating Alabama. I love beating Alabama. He said it again. He didn't have to say, I want to kick Saban's ass, and I want Saban's, title as the best coach in college football. No. All he has to say is, I love beating Alabama. And I'm telling you what, Saban, I don't think he's going to get over that 2-point conversion anytime soon. When you beat Nick Saban, but you beat him like that, I just felt in my soul when that moment went down that I don't know if Nick Saban's going to be able to fully recover from this defeat. The way it went down, how it happened, Alabama were clearly outplayed in that game. LSU deserved to win that game. And, it doesn't look like anything is really clearing up for Alabama. Tons of questions at quarterback. Is Jalen Milroe the guy? Obviously super talented as an athlete, but as a quarterback, very up in the air. They still recruited a high level, Alabama, of course. But they're slipping big time. I smell blood in the water. Brian Kelly smells the blood in the water. I'm sure you smell the blood in the water. That this is a moment in time where LSU can flip that script in a way that none of us thought was possible until Saban was gone. We thought Saban would have to be out of commission, retired, for LSU to kind of come back and take that title. No siree, Bob. When you've got a head coach like Brian Kelly, who's really the CEO of the team, now after a year of cleaning up a huge program mess on the roster, with the culture, academics, now Brian Kelly's been able to just like focus on his team winning games. And, still, while cleaning up the messes and all this stuff, still won 10 games, won the SEC West in his first season in the SEC. Let's be real. Most of you thought Brian Kelly would stay at Notre Dame for the rest of his career. You didn't think he wanted the smoke of the SEC, but not only has he wanted the smoke from the SEC, he wants Saban. And he's gone for Saban, and he still is going for Saban. With every I love beating Alabama quote, it's another message to Nick Saban. I'm not going anywhere. And in fact, you're going to have to deal with me for every single damn recruit on the trail. And every season, whether it's home or away, when you play LSU, no matter what the spread is, no matter who the favorite is, you're going to get a game. And even if LSU lose that game, I feel like we're going to injure players that affect their season, cause all sorts of havoc that affects their season. I just see Brian Kelly getting under Nick Saban's skin. And I know there's a lot of people who would, Nick Saban's never going to let that. We're not seeing the typical Nick Saban anymore, are we? We're seeing a Saban who's losing control emotionally at times on the sideline, and it doesn't look like he's just screaming, having a fit like he has before. He looks like he's losing control of his locker room. I mean, you just have to go look at the arrest record and the disciplinary record of his players right now to understand he is losing control. I mean, his hand-picked successor almost defensively, Pete Golding, leaves for Ole Miss to go buddy up with Lane Kiffin. I mean, that was a shocking move. That was a shocking move, in my opinion. And you've got every season, Saban's having to retool with his coaches, retool the staff, retool the players, but he could hide behind the success at quarterback, with Bryce Young, before that, Tua. Not anymore. He does not have that safety blanket anymore this season with Jalen Milroe. Alabama's defense was just barely getting by the last few years. This season, Alabama's defense has to have a 9 out of 10 season to really help them compete. And if that's not possible, they're going to have a hell of a time in the SEC West. A hell of a time. And with the schedule, how it plays out, I see LSU going into that game in a favorable position. At the same time, we thought week 1, Florida State 2022, that's an LSU win. We were wrong. So it's like, you never know what you're going to run into. You never know what type of injuries we could have. We still have a lot of starters who are out injured, on the way to recovery, but just not there quite yet. So, as much as I love the position LSU is in, we got to see how things go into fall before we can really get excited, in my opinion. I mean, be excited all you want, but for me, I'm going to be the realist here. I'm going to say, hey, things can happen. Crazier things can happen. But when you look at how things are changing in that regard to LSU smelling blood in the water and taking that mantle from Alabama, look no further than the way our quarterback room has been settled. It used to be a few years ago, if anyone on that LSU roster could just feel that they weren't going to be a priority, feel that they weren't going to be playing, they were gone. They were gone to the portal. Coach O was not going to be keeping them. Brian Kelly is now making sure guys don't transfer. And the way that Garrett Nussmeier was taken care of NIL-wise, making sure that he feels he's a priority as well on the field, with that future in 2024 to be the starter. That shows me that LSU are starting to really get a grasp of this. And Alabama, they're unable to keep a good quarterback room for this season that breaks their streak, and they still have a strong quarterback room, of course. This is Alabama, but not even anywhere close to how LSU's is. With Jaden Daniels, Garrett Nussmeier, that's the best quarterback room in the SEC. Ricky Collins added to that as well. And so there might be a lot of hype towards LSU, and you might not buy into the hype. There might be a lot of opinions this summer that maybe you're like, I don't know, are we going to have that good of a season? Injuries, blah, 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 blah. The fear of Nick Saban that LSU fans have had for so long, this paralyzing fear that no matter what, this guy is going to beat us. We know everything about Saban. We know him better than Alabama fans. But here's the thing. I've never seen Saban this disjointed, this out of sorts. I've never seen a Saban team that lacks any sort of discipline. And one of my favorite shows the other day, a personal friend who nationally renowned podcaster, great person, something I didn't agree with. He said, Nick Saban's always got his guys on the same page, like they are like in the military or something, and everyone's always on the same page and don't have to worry about Saban getting his guys on the same page and being all consistent. And I'm like, did you see the defense last year? Did you see them on the same page last year against Tennessee? Yeah, I don't think so. And so, there's going to be that expectation that no matter what, Saban's going to be fine. No matter what, Alabama will be fine. And LSU are always looking up to Alabama. I don't think that's the case anymore. Obviously, LSU have to continue to beat Alabama, continue to win games, continue to appear in these postseason contests over Alabama as the representative of the West to continue that, right? To continue that kind of mindset of LSU being able to equalize on the same footing as Alabama. Well, I feel like we're getting closer. And I feel like when you look at the type of culture LSU has had this offseason, where we didn't see that many guys leave for the transfer portal. In the first cycle, sure, not the second one. And we had this ominous feeling about Garrett Nussmeier leaving the team, but then when Garrett Nussmeier decides to stay, that's when you know there is something going on at LSU, brewing at LSU, that is keeping that roster together. They want to be there. They love being a part of this team. There's something that's keeping those guys there, whether they have a starting spot sealed or not, whether they know they're going to be a backup for an entire year or not. There's something keeping these guys there. When they've got offers left, right, and center to come abroad. And that's another thing. When LSU, we know how we are at safety. We need some help there. We know how we are at corner. We need some help there, right? We know we needed depth and bodies. We didn't think Alabama were so, had such a lack of confidence with their own secondary that they're going to be offering anybody that enters the portal, but they have. When Alabama are making Trey Amos a priority and going after him like he's a 5-star, Alabama are in a very precarious position going into the season. They have Kool-Aid McKinstry back there, and that's pretty much it. And so it's just, for me, there's so many signs here that tell me Alabama, the alarm bells are going off. For LSU, everything is calm waters right now. And usually that is the opposite. There's so much drama going on at LSU, and Alabama are just kind of sitting back, folding their arms. It is the complete opposite right now. You've got all these shows left, right, and center talking about what the hell's going on in Alabama. All the craziness that's going on in the athletic department there. And it's not like Saban is just fine and it's all, baseball's screwing up, basketball's screwing up, football's screwing up too. Some guy going like 130 miles an hour running from the cops as well. Like, there's been a ton of disciplinary problems at Alabama, and the cracks are starting to appear. I smell the blood in the water. I'm not saying LSU are going to beat Alabama this year 100%. I'm not saying LSU are going to win the national championship. Alabama are done. I'm not saying anything like that. What I'm saying is there are some obvious cracks starting to appear in the armor of Alabama that has been so protected by the media, has been so hailed by everyone in college football for so long. You're going to be seeing a different Alabama, just like you saw last year. An Alabama that was reckless, an Alabama that wasn't focused, an Alabama that had zero identity. Really, it was just Bryce Young, and that's it. I think that is the beginning of some type of end for this era of Saban in Alabama. And who knows, Saban could coach for another 10 years, and I wouldn't be shocked. But when you've got a head coach like Brian Kelly on your side, who is so passionate and driven to not only usurp Saban, but to literally erase Alabama from the modern landscape of college football and put his own team ahead, that's someone you want to get behind, because he's not afraid of Saban like Kirby Smart used to be. He doesn't have that deference, that complete respect no matter what for Saban, that you're almost afraid to beat the guy because you respect him so much. We're not seeing that out of Brian Kelly. We're seeing a guy who is hungry to kick some Saban ass. And in year one, to set that type of tone, seeing what's going on with the transfer portal, the recruiting trail, how desperate Alabama are for anybody and anyone and everybody, you smell blood in the water.